that she will be out there as well. That may hurt the depth a little bit, but the players who have been there have done a fine job of putting this together, this little road home trip, and won 3 in a row to start the season, 2 in a row at the end of last season, making it 5 in a row in all, looking for a 6th, which would be a best start ever in the home season for Wofford since they began Division I play back in the 90s.
Coastal Carolina always a challenge. Obviously, this team, in talking with the head coach of the Terriers, Coach Jimmy Garrity, he mentioned how they like to attack the rim, how they play very physical. Big-time dribble drive challenge tonight that Coastal Carolina will present.
Exactly, and very similar to what the Terriers faced in their last home game against Gardner-Webb. That was a tough, physical, grinded-out game that the Terriers were able to prevail in. So looks like a very similar game for the Terriers tonight against Coastal Carolina as it was a couple weeks ago against Gardner-Webb.
In a game like that, Bob, it becomes even more critical for Sarah Traynor with her senior leadership to really control the pace.
And that's something that has been very impressed that Coach Garrity has said that she's done a great job in that. Her first year as a point guard, as a starting point guard, and she's done an outstanding job. Just I think 4.5 assists a game. She had to miss the game the other night because she was taking the LSAT, which means she's pretty smart. So she knows what she's doing, and that should be glad that she's back. And this could be quite a challenge, Coastal Carolina, with their head coach Jada Williams in her 4th year and trying to build this Coastal Carolina program up. They're kind of in a new era as well because they just joined the Sun Belt Conference after spending time and a number of years in the Big South Conference. So that'll be quite a change as far as, especially with travel as well.
And we'll be keeping an eye on Gregory tonight, who averages 15.7 per contest as the leading scorer for the Chanticleers. The starting lineup set to be announced as we speak, so let's listen in to the starting 5 on each side.
First for the Chanticleers from Conway, South Carolina. And one forward, a 5'11" graduate student from Indianapolis, Indiana, number 31, Gregory. And another forward, a 5'10" senior from St. Louis, Missouri, number 34, Alexis Robinson. And another forward, a 6'1" senior from Queensland, Australia, number 1, Kathleen Miller. And one guard, a 5'10" sophomore from Indianapolis, Indiana, number 11, Kennedy Archer. And at the other guard, a 5'7" senior from High Point, North Carolina, number 14, Seth Dixon. The head coach of the Chanticleers in their 4th season is Jada Williams. And now the starting up for the Wofford Terriers. At one forward, a 6'8" senior from Naples, Florida, number 33, Bryson Nicholson. At one guard, a 5'7" sophomore from Cameron, Wisconsin, number 1, Cole Wanning. At the other guard, a 5'4" senior from Oakville, Ontario, number 3, Sarah Traynor. At one guard, a 5'10" senior from Somerville, South Carolina, number 21, Maria Amara. And at the other guard, a 6'1" senior from Simpsonville, South Carolina, number 22, Kendra Washington. The Terriers head coach in his 1st season, is Jimmy Garrity, with assistant coaches Mike Harrell, Cameron Seeley, and Sierra Simpson. The Terriers athletic trainer is Kennedy Townsend from the Sports and Medicine Institute, a division of Spartan Regional Healthcare System.
So there you heard the starting lineups on both sides, and Bob, it's the usual suspects for the Terriers, the usual starting 5 that they've put out there under first-year head coach Jimmy Garrity. And it all comes down really to the play of those 3 seniors, Penholster, Traynor, Washington, and they're in there as the nucleus once more.
Exactly, and Chloe Wanning's done an outstanding job as a sophomore, doing well, especially with her rebounding. She's the leading scorer for the team at 11.4 rebounds. Looking at Coastal Carolina, I see Rachel Gregory. She's averaging 9 rebounds a contest. Over half of those are offensive rebounds, so that's something you may want to look out for as well, because you don't want to give up any second shots to a team like this.
Gregory very close to averaging a double-double. We talked about her near 16 points, and you mix in what, if you round it up, is 9 rebounds per game. She's on the doorstep of averaging in double figures in both of those key categories. Well, they're ready to put the basketball in the air, and our two teams set to go from inside Benjamin Johnson Arena. Terriers will win the tip. First possession belongs to Wofford. And I'll go back to what Bob was telling you in the pregame, the way they have played in this building of late, the confidence they have shown. Plenty of bright spots for the team wearing white coming into this one tonight. A lot of good movement, and now good feet inside and underneath, and the finish for Wofford is there as Washington lays it home.
Beautifully designed play that time, able to get Kendra Washington in. She had a tough game a couple of weeks ago against South Carolina State with a lot of missed shots, but she finished well there.
All the more reason to feed her right away and develop that confidence that comes from a shot like that. What will the initial answer be for the shot declares of Coastal Carolina? They get it into the lane and provide a look for Gregory, but she's off the mark with her first shot of the night. Wofford quickly up the floor, and now a 3-ball drained by Corella.
She likes to do that. She's second on the team with 7 3-pointers, and if she can get going early on, that'll be a big help for Wofford.
Corella, 3-point field goals, 26% from the field, 35% shooter overall. As you mentioned, second on the team when it comes to that department. Stepping just inside the 3-point line is Miller, a senior out of Australia, but the same result for Coastal Carolina as they look for their first field goal of the game. Very early in the action, alongside Bob McFarland, Jason Patterson, thanking you for joining us here for Wofford Terriers basketball on Terrier Vision. And for all of you taking time out of your busy schedule tonight, we appreciate you taking time to be with us here. And Bob, if folks weren't with us in the open, we'll document once again here in a bit a couple of those injuries. This may be a decent time to do it. It's a valiant effort to save it. We'll keep it from being out of bounds, so it stays in with Washington showing some effort down in the corner.
And the shot clock didn't get started until late. You saw the official waving his hand, so shot clock may not be right, but we got a 3-second violation, so it didn't make any difference.
Well, Washington playing with some fervor in this game, really disrupting on the defensive end, in addition to what was the first bucket of the game, Bob.
And she's probably one of the more intense players on this team.
Wofford with the inbound coming from Trainer, who now works it up the floor. Gregory out to contest her near the timeline. And now she's blanketed by Archer. 3-ball from the corner, and Washington there for the putback. So a great start for the senior out of Malden High School in Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Wild shot that time by Robinson, but they keep the ball.
Certainly was. And Coastal Carolina looking for anything that'll go down right now. Shot selection has to be a concern for fourth-year head coach Jada Williams at the moment.
Oh, nearly a tie-up with Washington.
Now with 7 to shoot, another inside look. Results in a rebound away to Pinholster.
They have not taken good shots so far. They are 0 for 4.
Pinholster will clean the board, 6.3 rebounds per game. That leads the Terriers. Already in the stat sheet in that category early, and now here's a rare turnover for the first part of this one. And with just 3 minutes gone, Coastal won't get a shot off here this trip down the floor. From the elbow, draining it is Wanik. And the Terriers off to a 9-0 run to begin things. What a start. We'll talk about it when we return. Wofford with all the points on the board and a 9-0 advantage early.
What's up, Terriers? This week kicks off the last season in the Benjamin Johnson Arena. This has truly been one of the best places to compete in the Southern Conference. Let's take a quick look back at the first game to ever be played in the Benjo.
It started out as that we were going to build an athletic building, and as time went on, we found that it became more and more likely that the needs for the long run were going to include other things. So as it turned out, we had enough people in this community who were willing to give us the support, and we built the whole thing at one time.
What a great arena to create a legacy here at Wofford College. More moments like this will be shared throughout the year by Wofford Athletics, and you can get involved too. Share some of your favorite Benjo memories by tagging #BenjoFarewell.
Here come the stats over here.
Thank you. Wofford on a 9-0 run to begin things. And Bob, you look at Coastal Carolina's shooting woes in the early going. They are 0 of 4 from the floor, but it really has been every aspect for Wofford so far, defensively as well as offensively, their intensity paying off.
Exactly, 2 turnovers. They've turned that into 2 baskets like that. And right now, Coastal Carolina looks out of sync, and I think Coach Jada Williams wants them to settle down and look a little more smoothly here on offense.
Well, they get it into the hands of Robinson, and now out top where Gibson will draw some contact, and a foul called out top on Wofford, and that's going to be charged to Blakeney, who is into the game, the redshirt junior out of Columbia. First personal after she just entered that foul right away. We're going to get a travel. Here's another turnover by Coastal Carolina, and everything they touch right now is turning into disaster, Bob.
So far, so good for Wofford, and so far, not so good for Coastal Carolina.
So Blakeney into the game. We talked about her picking up that foul and handles the basketball out top. They were really impressed with the way she played recently. Said that she's really coming into her own as a leader, and key moments, they know they can count on her now, Bob. And that's critical, too, with some of the injuries we were talking about. You brought it up earlier. Booker banged up, going to be out for 3 weeks or so. Walker with the back injury, that nagging injury that continues. So you're going to need some of those role players like a Blakeney to really be able to step up. And another missed shot for
Exactly.
Coastal.
Robinson looked like she had an open look there. It wouldn't go down. And Blakeney getting a chance to get some playing time here with Booker's injury. She played very well the other night in place of Trainer. Played 36 minutes, quite a bit for a point guard.
Now, and again, they were talking about how they have asked her to do a little more, and she has answered that call. You said 36 minutes, and the effort that she put forth, earning her more immediate playing time here in this contest. They try to inbound the ball to her here, and will, but she's going to be whistled for the over and back. Backcourt violation.
Yeah, occurred right in front of us. We saw that one pretty clearly.
Coastal Carolina looking for something, looking for anything. Remember, it was 9-0 at the timeout, so neither team has scored since we returned to action. Coastal Carolina has not scored yet in the basketball game. As Gibson brings it up. Wofford not allowing any passing lanes to Coastal Carolina into the interior early.
I don't think they've had a shot in the paint yet, except maybe one of the first shots, maybe.
They have not had too many looks inside. They try to force it down into Miller, and it's off the front of the iron. Big rebound underneath by Gregory, and Gregory's the player that you would think can provide the spark. You talked about her numbers, Bob. They reference her basketball IQ, much like we were talking about with Trainer earlier. Gregory, the player they look to, but so far blanketed by Wanek. And now a look from three-point land that won't go.
And those long rebounds, tough to corral, and Coastal Carolina with another opportunity here.
Yeah, Gibson hustled, followed her own shot there that time. Said Gibson will give it up to Gregory.
Fantastic. Coastal Carolina, all three of their rebounds in this game are on the offensive variety.
Now down the right side, and a blocking foul is going to be called underneath on Washington. You saw her reaction as she was hopeful she would be able to step in there, draw the charge outside that arc, but a couple of shots are coming. Can the first points of the night for Alexis Robinson and the Chanticleers come from the charity stripe? Robinson in her senior season out of St. Louis, Missouri, transferred from Moberly Area Community College, and it rattles out. That's a snapshot of the night for Coastal so far.
The iron has been very unkind to imitate Tim Brando on his days.
It's a true
broadcasting.
True statement right here in these moments for sure for Coastal Carolina. It's a Coastal team 0 of 7 from the floor, and now you can add to that 0 of 1 from the charity stripe.
Yeah, it's. I think the rim is. There's not a door there.
Pretty sizable drought to begin things, and the first points will come from the free throw line with 5 minutes 16 seconds remaining in the first period of action. That's when the Chanticleers get on the board. It's 9-1.
See Marissa Baer and Kelsey Lambden into the ball game for Wofford for the first time. Curler trying to get that open three-pointer. She's awfully dangerous from there.
Well, they'll feed it down into the corner to Wannick. But a whistle will send things the other direction. That 9-1 score looks a little more like a baseball score, Bob. You look up there, not often you get one on the board, a single number in basketball. And speaking of baseball, we should say congratulations to all those watching who are Coastal Carolina fans. They really shocked the baseball world. The reigning national champions, quite a run they went on. Coach Gary Gilmore and his crew in Omaha, and really helped define the character of this university by putting them on the map nationally. You talked about their movement to the Sun Belt, which again has helped raise the level of awareness related to Coastal Carolina. This truly is a program across all sports that is on the rise, Bob.
Exactly. That baseball championship, their last act as the Big South Conference team. And what a way to join the Sun Belt is that. Of course, that's mainly for football, moving up to the FBS level. So it's going to be quite a move for Coastal Carolina, and maybe it'll trickle down to the women's basketball program here as well.
Yeah, they just squeaked that championship in for the Big South. They were set to run out of their tenure at midnight after the delay by rain out there in Omaha, but certainly a big moment for the Big South and a lot of the schools in this area in that, and a huge moment for Coastal Carolina. And there's a huge block for Coastal Carolina. Underneath, Hamilton will have none of it. Naira Hamilton able to come away with the block, and will it result in offense? Remember, this is a Coastal team still looking for their first field goal. As you can see on the scorebug, the bottom of your screen, just a single point from the charity stripe thus far. And this is off the mark. So it is an 0 of 8 from the field beginning for Coastal Carolina, and we're now 4 minutes remaining first period as the Chanticleers search for any offense whatsoever. The one thing you can say, Bob, is they've held Wofford to that 9-point total they had at the first media timeout. And Terriers now struggling to score as well.
Exactly. They're now, they were started out very well. Now they're only 4 of 7.
What nice look underneath. The feed into Gregory. And you knew when the field goal finally came, a good chance it was going to be Gregory who lays it home.
And it was Sed Gibson with the assist. She's their leading playmaker at 3 assists a contest. So that was a nice play that time and got the Chanticleers on the board.
Washington comes in, Lambden off, and you see that beautiful effort underneath by Gregory. We mentioned Gregory, a graduate student transferred from the University of Buffalo, native of Indianapolis, Indiana. She is the leader of this team all the way around. Washington loads up. She doesn't mind to shoot it from distance and just has the 3 rattle out. Here's Gregory underneath again. Chanticleer suddenly able to work the basketball inside, Bob, and is showing up on the scoreboard.
Exactly. Nice pass inside, and Gregory is able to handle it and get the layup to go down.
So the lead just 4 for a team that did not get a field goal until well inside of the 5-minute mark in this first period of action. The Chanticleers are only down by 2 possessions and they have the basketball back. If you're going to go through that kind of drought, you're Jada Williams and company, you have to be pleased with where you are on the scoreboard because of the way the defense held, and Jimmy Garrity has to be thinking, man, we should have built a much larger lead when they were struggling to score.
Exactly. It's a 5-0 run for Coastal Carolina after a 9-0 run by Wofford.
They attempt to feed it down inside to Hamilton in there, but she'll end up losing the basketball out of bounds, and the Terriers, who are still stuck on that total of 9, 4 of 9 from the field now, will take over as Coastal Carolina makes a substitution of Miller coming in there for Robinson now.
And you see full court pressure for the Chanticleers now to test the Terrier ball handlers here. Oh, that's a dangerous pass, but Blakeney was able to come up with it.
Yeah, Miller disrupted for a moment. Blakeney will stop and pop inside the 3-point line, and there's the long-awaited first point since the last stoppage for Wofford. They're up 11-5.
It is almost about 4:45 of playing time since they last scored.
So you went over 5 minutes before a first field goal happened for Coastal Carolina, and then Wofford with a drought of near 5 in this first period in their own right. Perhaps the floodgates starting to open now offensively. Though you can't tell that to Ryan, whose shot is just off the mark, and up the floor it comes behind Sed Gibson. Under 2 minutes remaining in a wild and crazy first period. That's really about the only way to describe it. This is going to turn things over to Wofford once more. But, Bob, you talk about those droughts, the struggles shooting by both teams after a 9-0 start for Wofford. This has been an unusual beginning to the basketball game.
Exactly. You don't really expect it in a game like this. I thought beforehand this was going to be a very competitive game, kind of like the Gardner-Webb game. But by now, Wofford got off to that good start. Coastal Carolina trying to climb back into it, especially with defense trying to force some turnovers here in the backcourt.
Well, to remind you, the Terriers trying to do something they've never done before. That's defeat Coastal Carolina. 9 prior tries, and it has not gone Wofford's way. Last year, the Chanticleers defeated Wofford 83-69 down in Conway. This is a series that dates back to 1986. Coastal winning that first meeting 74-52, and again, they have stayed perfect. How interesting is it, Bob? They are 9-0 in this series. Wofford went out to a 9-0 run.
Exactly, that's right.
This basketball game when they try to steal their first win away. Now up 11-5 with 94 seconds remaining, and we had a whistle and a foul underneath. That's going to be called on Alexis Robinson, a second personal on Robinson.
So she's going to have to check out of the ball game. It's like Jamie Williams coming into the ball game.
You're exactly right. They're going to bring Williams back in, the sophomore out of Coral Springs, Florida. Wofford immediately inbounds to Bear, and now it's Washington out top. 25 to shoot. 1:25 to go in the first period. Terriers up by 6. Scoring has been at a premium in this one. Nice turnaround, but the shot just short by Bear. The follow good, though, and Wofford will add to their total. Bear, the sophomore out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, with a bucket.
She's the one who had the game winner against South Carolina State on a similar shot. She's got her own rebound.
You mentioned that game, Bob, as a game that really provided some confidence for Wofford, and that's the word you've used a couple of times in talking about this team so far, a confident bunch over the last several weeks.
Yes, they went on a tough road schedule. They just came back off the road, losing to Nebraska, Omaha, and nationally ranked Florida, but then come up with a big road win the other night against North Carolina Central.
Had a 10-point victory for the Terriers against North Carolina Central. This foul is on Blanding. That is a first personal foul on the sophomore out of Columbia. And a 4th team foul against Coastal Carolina. 33 seconds remaining as they feed it inside to Washington. Her turnaround a little too deep. And Coastal in transition with under a half minute to play, and now slowing it down is Blanding. Coastal Carolina going to hold for the final shot of this first period, and after such a long shortage to begin this contest, they will go with over 10 seconds left to play. So they gave the impression they were going to hold, then decided to thread the needle down the lane and cut it to 4. Wofford heaving one at the buzzer that is just off the mark. And was going to say, Bob, Coastal Carolina has to be pleased to be down only 4 with as much as they struggled. 0 of their first 7 from the field, and yet it's 13-9 Wofford at the first period break. We'll be back with more. You're watching Wofford Terriers basketball on Terrier Vision.
What's it like being a member of a winning team? I'll tell you about a guy carrying the weight of the world. He needed an addition to his house. Oh, he needed a place to get away, a place to relax.
What's he talking about? He went to Founders Federal Credit Union for a loan. Built a pretty sweet man cave. Founders, way better than a bank.
Do you want one?
Well, he's on a roll.
Let's win as members!
Ingles, everything you need for game.
I see lightning in the sky. Hold me closely, my dear. Yeah, the storm still raging inside my soul, and I see lightning in the sky.
19-9 after one period of action here inside the Benjo. Final season inside Benjamin Johnson Arena for Terriers basketball. How about that, Bob?
Yeah, 20 games left, 20 events left, men's and women's basketball. They started the countdown during the volleyball season here, and then they'll have somebody will be taking down number 20 and showing number 19 coming up at halftime.
Well, and Wofford pleased with the way they've shot in this 20-to-go contest so far, and particularly the way they've limited Coastal Carolina inside. Here was a chance once more for Gregory, and her shot off the mark as it was well contested. And if you're going to tip your cap on something that Jimmy Garrity and his staff has done so far in this game, you would think it would be the inside defensive play of the Terriers.
Exactly, and Coastal Carolina ended the first quarter of hitting 4 of 5, and they just got a shot right there from Jazz Adams.
Make it 5 out of their last 7. That's after going 0 for their first 7. So that's turning it around when it comes to shooting from the floor. And you look up at the scoreboard now, Bob, 1-possession game. Yeah,
quite a comeback from Coastal Carolina, and Wofford's got to take advantage. Should have taken more of advantage of that 9-0 lead.
Terriers shot 42% from the field. You round it up, it's 43 to be exact. Coastal Carolina shooting just 33% in that first half. Off turnovers, though, Wofford 8 points to really nothing from a field goal standpoint. All points coming off field goals on turnovers belong to the Terriers. Fast break points, another thing that caught your attention. In transition, the Terriers were good in that first period. 7-0 was the total they amassed in transition. Washington stuffed inside.
I think that was Miller who got the hand on there.
Hamilton contesting there.
Penholster with a nice strong drive to the basket.
And it's going to be a foul on Hamilton. That's a first personal foul on Nyaria Hamilton, and a first team foul of the second period. But you look at that fast break point, 7-0 Wofford. Off turnovers, they scored 8. In the paint was pretty even. Off the bench was pretty even. Those are the areas that really show up. And all the turnovers for Coastal Carolina early really evened up when you look at the end of the quarter statistics, Bob. 7 turnovers for Coastal, 5 for the Terriers, just +2 for Wofford when all was said and done in that first period.
Exactly, and Coastal Carolina find themselves right back in the ball game, but Grayson Penholster with a couple of free throws.
Penholster knocks them down. Senior making it a 4-point lead. Coastal Carolina with some fire across the last several moments and carrying that momentum into the second period. They turn it inside to Hamilton, and here comes a whistle. This is going to be a foul on Penholster, and that's just the first whistle against Penholster, and clearly the first foul of this second period for Wofford. Well, what can you say about the job that Jimmy Garrity and his staff, Cameron Seeley, Mike Merrill, Sierra Simpson, all in their first year on campus? Sometimes it's just a matter of learning the area, learning the environment. They've done so much more than that already, Bob, with the W's they put up on the board.
Exactly, and doing it at home, trying to keep your home streak going there, that's always important. If you can win some on the road, which has been a problem for the Terriers in the past, that'll really help. And these people, all the coaches that are from the Carolinas, they're close by, and they know this area well.
Another block underneath for Hamilton. And quickly up the field, or up the floor, I should say, is Adams. And she'll feed it inside to Miller. Miller's no daylight to be found. That's what Wofford did so well early, bunching things up inside that lane and cutting off the passing.
Now you got 10 on the shot clock.
Single digits. And Miller has to fire away from up top of the key, battle underneath. An offensive rebound gives a chance to Gregory, who's going to be spun around by Washington and hit the floor. Heavy contact, but no whistle. And then on the other end, a 3-ball for Maria Corella.
You do not leave her alone like that. She's got 2 3-pointers in this game. Looks like we got a going back the other way on for Wofford on the turnover or a foul.
Body's hitting the floor again as you see Gregory. And it's going to give you a look, Bob, at Corella shooting the lights out with that wide open 3.
Yeah, don't leave her alone like that. You give her time and he's shooting in rhythm, she's going to knock those down.
Corella, 30% 3-point shooter on the year. And as you said, 36 3-pointers coming in. And She has added to that total in this contest, and that was a timely 3. It puts Wofford up by 6. Terriers led by 9, and that is their largest lead, that 9-0 lead they held. And then they really were stuck on 9-1. It got down to 9-6. This Wofford team struggling in their own right down the stretch in that first period to score, but now they have stretched it out a bit. That's before this takeaway by Gibson, who takes it the distance.
Clean steal that time off the inbounds passing. Gibson able to put 2 on the board for the Chanticleers.
Gibson, who came in with 13 steals on the season, adds another to her total. Looking for some help was Trainer. And we're going to get a foul call on Rachel Gregory. That's a second personal on Gregory. And Gregory, because of the key piece of the puzzle she is for Coastal Carolina, will take a seat with 7 minutes to go second period. They're going to bring Archer back in there. Archer, who started the basketball game, sophomore out of Indianapolis in her own right. But Gregory, they can ill afford to have her with 3 fouls going into the second half. She's so critical to their game plan, Bob.
Yeah, I doubt we're going to see much of her the rest of this half.
Lead is 4 from the corner. Rattles out on Blakeney. And now a foul underneath. It's going to be called against Wofford. And it's going to be on Penholster. Second personal on Penholster. You'll see it right here on the battle for the rebound. That
looked like she got ball there, but official said otherwise.
You got it. Tough call on Penholster. Again, second personal. And for the Terriers, that's a second team foul this period. Boy, nice move by Miller. Defender bit on the pass, and it created enough daylight for her to drain a bucket.
And that's something that hasn't happened much for Coastal Carolina, but they're creeping back up close to 40% shooting now after a tough start.
One possession basketball game until Washington has her say. Kentra Washington with another shot from distance, 2016. And now controlling out top is Gibson. They'll try to feed it inside. Hamilton at it, but taken away by Corella. Corella to slow it up. Wide open look for Washington. Just off the mark down in the corner. Mad scramble for it. Possession arrow is with Wofford, so it would stay on this end.
Good play by Penholster to go in there and force that jump ball.
You called it. The possession arrow does keep it with the Terriers. Wofford bringing Bayer into the game. And Coastal Carolina with Jamie Williams, a sophomore out of Coral Springs, Florida, entering. Those substitutions coming with just under 6 to play. Feed immediately to Wannick. And now Blakeney will slow things out up top. Wofford with 15 to shoot. Everything did reset a moment ago, so plenty of time for the Terriers. Here's Bayer inside, and it's going to be a foul on the floor before she worked her way to the basket. And it's going to be on Williams, who just entered. That's a 4th team foul already on Coastal Carolina, Bob. Wofford shooting the rest of the way with the next foul.
Exactly.
And that's with 5:31 to play.
That's right, and 15 foul, you start shooting in the quarter.
Open real estate for Corella. Down the lane off the mark, and the rebound to Adams. Coastal quickly up the floor and now slowing up just a bit. Those 14 fouls for Coastal Carolina, by the way, to just 2 for Wofford in this second period. And now a whistle against Miller, and there's 5. So that bonus is now in effect, and the Terriers with a chance, and this is a long time, 5:14 left in the period, for them to be shooting on every whistle the rest of the way. A major advantage for the Terriers in this second period, Bob.
Exactly right. Terriers have been shooting as a team about 66%. I think last year they had close to, I think, over 70% free throw shooting.
Washington, who's a 71% free throw shooter in her own right, will drain the first. And obviously, with all the work Kentra Washington does inside, she gets herself to the line more than anybody else on this team.
Yeah, her 26th attempt.
she's able to knock it down. 22-16. It's going to go.
Looks like an offensive foul away from the ball.
The other direction. A charge call that is going to give it back to Wofford. There's another turnover. Those have been costly for Coastal Carolina.
And that's Williams' second foul as well. And that's the 10th turnover of the night for Coastal Carolina.
Washington up top, down the right side of the lane. Feed into Baer, and good awareness of where the bucket was. She lays it into the net, and the lead grows.
She did that with her right hand. She's a left-hander, so it was with her offhand, and she was able to get it in.
4-3 Terriers leading 3-3 Coastal Carolina team who's heating up suddenly, and Yasmin Miller, one of the reasons. That's a second good bucket from nearly the same spot on the floor by Miller.
That's right. She came in averaging 9 points a game, and she's about their third leading scorer. And she got a couple fast buckets here, and looks like we got a steal back the other way for Gibson.
Gibson, nobody to contest her, slows up, lays it home. And a 4-point basketball game once again.
Well, Wofford doesn't like prosperity. Had that 8-point lead, and all of a sudden down to 4 in a matter of about 15 or 20 seconds.
That's a great point, Bob. They can't seem to hold those sizable advantage when they get it. Led by as many as 9 in the first period, and that 9-0 run to begin things. Led by as many as 8 here in the second period. But that cut in half, and now down to 4. Shot clock down to 7. Baer wide open underneath, and the look impressive from Corella.
Corella with a beautiful pass, saw Baer open for the moment, and she laid it up and in.
So the lead back to 6, under 4 to play. And the second period of action between these two Palmetto State rivals. And a whistle underneath. It's going to be called on Baer. Sophomore out of Lawrenceville whistled for her second. That's a third team foul against Wofford. So far from shooting for Coastal Carolina, but not far from the lead. Wofford up just 6 as we break inside Benjamin Johnson Arena. You're watching Terriers basketball on Terrier Vision.
Game day. Last season you were watching football at the mercy of that loathed cable company and your weird roommate with the ornery chinchilla. But today you're gonna watch wherever the wild you want. You go here, Wild Wing Cafe. They've got all the games on more screens than you can count, and cute roommates. This is just the wild you need. So go wild, superfan. We can't help your choking QB, but we do have cold beer.
We don't do it for recognition or a pat on the back. Not for glory or any award. We make the highest quality pork products because that's what you deserve. And we're honored to have it so for dinner. That's why pride is in our name. Carolina Pride. Crafted with Southern pride.
What's it like being a member of a winning team? I'll tell you about a guy carrying the weight of the world. He needed an addition to his house. Oh, he needed a place to get away, a place to relax.
What's he talking about? He went to Founders Federal Credit Union for a loan. Built a pretty sweet man cave. Founders, way better than a bank.
Do you want one?
He's a whoa.
Let's win as members!
Right around even now, Bob. Coastal Carolina has elevated their shooting from the field to the point that they're at 43%, while Wofford has dipped to around 42% from the field. Who would have dreamed that once they started 0 for 7 from the floor, talking about the Chanticleers?
Yeah, they've done very well since then, 9 of 14. That's about 64% or thereabouts. Now we've got a...
And there was something that Jada Williams, the fourth-year head coach of the Chanticleers, was really in the ear of one of our officials about. Of course, we can mention our officials for the first time tonight. Mark Hardcastle, Laura Weed, and Carrie Pierre, the three that are huddling up at mid-court. And they brought the players back down to this end of the floor, Bob.
I don't know if it's a clock problem.
And she's still asking for some clarification over on that other side. You see Jimmy Garrity, who is looking on. He's kind of just an observer at this point of whatever's taking place. And Wofford going to be given the basketball at midcourt, so the Terriers have it nonetheless. And it's going to be Trainer who brings it up for Wofford. Going over some of the numbers we were just handed. Turnovers staying pretty steady. 10 for Coastal Carolina, 8 for Wofford. Here's a bucket from outside. There's some distance for Kelsey Lambden, and the junior out of Ohio is in the scorebook.
Yeah, she's playing very well this year as well.
Boy, right down the lane, and that was in the face of Washington on that drive by Breland Blanding. Washington up, appears to be okay. She will be whistled for a second personal foul here. That's a painful personal foul for Washington, Bob.
Yeah, that one hurt, and she went down hard that time. Looks like she'll be all right. Her dad usually comes to the games. He used to sit kind of right just a couple seats from where we are on the front row here. Then he started going up to the stands behind the benches, and Wofford started winning. So he told me the last time, he said he's staying over there for now.
When that's working, you don't come back. That's kind of the way sports goes, especially the superstitious nature of these games. And Washington will remain in there with a couple of fouls. Remember, when Gregory picked up her foul for Coastal Carolina, she departed. So as to avoid a third. We'll see if the same thing happens with Washington here, and it will. Bear coming back in, and so the inbound responsibility will go to Lambden. Those are two players each of these coaches can ill afford to lose, and they will really protect him now, Bob.
Exactly. We won't see them till the third quarter.
3 minutes left, and the last thing you would want is Washington to pick up a cheap one here in those final 3 minutes. And Bear comes right in, plays phenomenally underneath, and sees the lead grow to its high water mark. It's back to 9.
Yeah, Corella and Bear with a nice combination there. At least the second time they've combined on a basket that time, with Corella getting the assist and Bear the basket, and another turnover for Coastal Carolina.
Boy, tip your cap to Sarah Trainer, the way she did there, coming away with the basketball. Then slows things up as she brings it up the floor. We talked about her steals numbers from a year ago, what she's been able to do as a distributor of the ball. And Bear looking for some help. Just 6 to shoot for Wofford now. And that shot will be taken from up top. Clanks the rim, resets the shot clock, and it'll go out of bounds to Wofford. So the Terriers keep it on this end. Big break there for Wofford.
Nice break that time, and see if the Terriers can take advantage of it. They've got their biggest lead right now at 9, equaling it from earlier.
Trainer inbound. Coastal subbing Williams back in. Jamie Williams, the sophomore, coming back into the contest, replacing Hamilton, who takes a seat. It was a fresh shot clock, so 30 to shoot. That's of no mind to Maria Corella. She was where she wanted to be on the floor, and the senior out of Somerville drives it home.
Well, she can also shoot from the two-point area as well, as she proved there.
Oh, good job using the length of Miller, and Miller feeds Archer underneath. Impressed with how Miller at the top, Bob, was able to use her size to really lift the basketball into the air and create for herself a chance to feed it inside.
Yeah, it was a nice pass that time. Archer unable to finish because of the foul on Wannick.
Archer to the line, where she is 9 of 13 on the year coming into this contest. It's down another lead. 10 for Wofford at 32-22 with just under 2 minutes to play. There you see the greetings for Trainer as she comes off. And Blakeney, who has spent some extensive time in this first half as a ball handler, will receive the inbound pass here.
She got a chance to play a lot the other night against North Carolina Central and proved herself, and now she's getting a chance here with Trainer on the bench here the last minute and 40 here in the first half.
And it's been because of the ability she has had to move the rock around. Just a couple of points in the game for Blakeney. But what she's been able to do as a handler, impressive. Now she fires away from three-point land. That's off the front of the iron. Under 90 left, first half. Boy, a block for Blakeney underneath. Maybe she doesn't have a size advantage that often, but working against said Gibson, Blakeney takes advantage. Watch this again, Bob.
Beautiful block that time. Clearly all ball that time, and that's her first block of the year.
A good move underneath. Yasmin Miller, the senior out of Australia, transferred from Northeast Community College. A key piece of the puzzle for Coastal Carolina, and her numbers climb a bit more as the Chanticleers get it back in single digits.
All 6 of her points have been here in this second quarter.
Yes, they have. And remember, 2 outside shots and then the work inside.
Wow.
There. Speaking of outside shots, Chloe Wanek trains a 3, and the lead is at 10 with under a minute to play.
And she is definitely someone who can put the ball in the basket. All-time leading scorer at her high school in Cameron, Wisconsin. She knows how to put the ball in the basket.
Led the team in offensive rebounds her last time out. Speaks to her all-around ability, the way she's crashed the boards of late. You know of her shooting ability. It was on display there. And down the lane is Miller, and she'll draw the foul. It's going to be a whistle on Wofford's Kelsey Lambden. And that's a first personal on Lambden. That's now 5 for Wofford, so both teams shooting across this final 23.2 from the line. Wofford maybe not with as much of a chance. Coastal did a nice job not sending them to the line regularly. Not as much of a chance to take advantage of early being in the bonus in this period, but they have stretched the lead out nonetheless, Bob. They have it at 10 as we close in on the first half.
Yeah, it was a nice comeback by Coastal Carolina earlier as Wofford uses their use it or lose it timeout here. And done a good job of Wofford after seeing the lead dwindle down to almost nothing. They came back and rallied. They've been up by as much as 11 so far in this game. Coastal Carolina will have a second half of adjustments to see if they can get back into this ball game. But Wofford playing very well, especially on the defensive end at this point.
Coastal Carolina forced early to shoot outside. They have not hit a 3 in the basketball game. Their work has come, for the most part, in the paint. They have a slight advantage there, 12 to 10 on points in the paint. But the Terriers have taken advantage of fast break opportunities. They have double digits in points off turnovers. And they have a double-digit lead as it stands at the moment. Let's see if it will hold as Miller puts the second shot up off the mark. It stays at 10. Shot clock is off, so Blakeney can hold for the final shot should she choose to do so. It would seem wise as Wofford knows they'll at least go in with that 10-point lead. She feeds off to the left, and Lambden shot not quite there. Coastal gonna run out of real estate before they can push it up the floor, run out of time. And the Wofford Terriers will carry a 10-point lead into the break. How about this first half, Bob?
Very exciting first half of play, and both teams will be making some adjustments, I'm sure. Wofford doing well defensively, but Coastal Carolina out rebounding them, but the Chanticleers with turnovers, more turnovers than the Terriers to this point, 12 to 8. And the Terriers have been able to take advantage with 12 points off turnover, 7 for Coastal Carolina.
Well, hang with us. Wofford with a 9-0 run to begin the basketball game takes a 10-point advantage into the locker room, 35-25. If you'll stick around on Terrier Vision, you'll learn a lot more about this team and the schools involved here, as our halftime show will be very informative. And we'll be back for second half action in just a bit. 35-25 at the break.
Located in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Wofford College combines a challenging liberal arts education with a close-knit campus community. Wofford offers a complete, transformative living and learning experience. Wofford empowers its students with skills and opportunities that employers need and graduate schools want. A Wofford graduate is prepared for what's next. Wofford College. It's your world.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Game day, when throngs of couch-bound conquistadors band together. Feed that will to win with determination and chicken wings. Ingles, your official sponsor of food and football.
Coach Jimmy Garrity in his first season at the helm of the Wofford Terriers women's basketball program. And Coach, your background from the area, you graduate Elon from Cary, North Carolina, spent your 3 years as a head coach at Anderson University just across the way. So this is new territory for you, but in so many ways the Carolinas and the Southern Conference you're very familiar with.
Well, yeah, feels like home right here in the upstate. Got my start in basketball at UNC Wilmington. And from there moved to Clemson and was fortunate enough to get a head job at Anderson University for the past 3 years. And very good teams down there, had really good players, and really fortunate to be here at Wofford after spending time there, and just prepared me to make this step. And been kind of familiar with the Southern Conference, played a few teams in that when I was at Anderson University and also at Wilmington, so pretty familiar with the conference and happy to be a part of it.
What have you already discovered about the Wofford Terrier fan base and certainly about this Wofford women's program in your short time here?
Well, everybody on campus, the support, the students, they've been great. I know we've had great crowds. This place, the Benjo, has seen a lot of great games and a lot of history in this place, a lot of big-time wins here too, and really excited to be a part of all that. And just the overwhelming sense of community you have here at Wofford has been fantastic.
You'll get one season here inside Benjamin Johnson Arena to have at least that experience. Then you move into the brand new facility. One of the main things that coaches always talk about when they come in recruiting, how does it help you to know you're heading into a state-of-the-art facility early in your tenure?
Well, it's pretty special. Now, what's going up across the way here is absolutely amazing, and will have a tremendous impact on recruiting, but also the experience, the college experience that our student athletes have. And it's going to be a building that is second to none in the conference. And at the same time, we're excited about finishing out the Benjo this last season and to give this some history here in the last year, and hopefully we play really well here. I know we will with the crowd support, but it is really promising to look for next year in the future in the new arena.
You're greeted with a very difficult schedule. You look at some of the teams you'll have to play. It begins on the road against an ACC opponent in the NC State Wolfpack. And one of the things that jumps out about the schedule, Coach, in a stretch from December 5th to January 5th, you're on the road the entire time. Talk about the schedule for us.
Well, it is going to be tough. We open up at NC State, and they've just refurbished Reynolds Coliseum, so it'll be the first game in that. They'll have a tremendous crowd there. So I did work at NC State for a few years too, so I'm excited to go back there and play. But then you're right, we do come home after that for 3 games, and then we're on the road again. We play December 5th at home against Coastal, and then we don't come back to the Benjo at home until January 5th against Western. So, during that time stretch, it's 10 out of 11 games on the road. We go to Nebraska, Omaha, which would be a tough place to play. We follow that up with a trip to Gainesville to play University of Florida. Then we got some Big South opponents in there. Gardner-Webb we play. Then we go to CAA, UNC Wilmington. We do a Florida swing and play North Florida and then Jacksonville. And then from there we go to Kennesaw State and play them. And then we're finally back home January 5th.
One of the main things about being a part of a new program is developing that chemistry. That month on the road, will that be helpful in that process?
Well, it's going to have to be. We're going to have to be together as a team, playing for one another during that time stretch. And, it's never easy to go on the road and win. So you typically got to be 10 points better. And so our team has done a tremendous job supporting one another and being together. So I expect that's going to help us down the road as well.
Chloe Wanick comes back as an all-freshman team selection from a year ago. You have Kendra Washington. These are some of the key pieces. Washington, who averages in double figures and had 10 straight games in which she scored in double figures. Talk about those two as well as the surrounding cast and the makeup of your team coming into the season.
Well, yeah, Kendra is going to lead the way for us. Very talented senior. Has put in her time here, is committed to the program, committed in the offseason to get better. She's established a leadership role this year. She's holding her teammates accountable, really comes to practice every single day and works hard and works on her craft. Been a tremendous player for her in practice so far. So I'm expecting big things from Kendra. Her teammates are as well too. And then you mentioned Chloe. Chloe is a very interesting player. She doesn't look the most athletic, but man, she can score the ball. And one thing, you know, found that out early. She was not here during the summer, so we just got to work with her when she came back to school in August to September. But she's very crafty with the ball. Has a innate way of scoring. She can play from outside, hit the three. She can take it off the dribble. She can get to the rim. So we're looking for exciting things to happen with her. And so, you know, she's going to be surrounded by some good teammates as well, too. You know, at this point, everybody's going to need to step up their game and play like they're capable of playing. I think Grayson is going to have a big year, too. Sarah Trainer is going to help lead the way along with Amashi at the point. So Maria Corella, she can score in a variety of ways too, very athletic. And so everybody, we have enough pieces of the puzzle to get it right, so we're going to expect everybody to step up and play well for us.
Those are the pieces of the puzzle. What have been your points of emphasis with this group since taking over? Staying together. Like, we really need to compete, try to win every drill, try to win every practice. We're just trying to get better every single day. And if we can ever get to the point where we're playing for one another and staying together as a team, then that in itself will help us win some ball games. Some changes in the women's game that fans may or may not be aware of, but when it comes down to possessions now are going to be affected moving forward. How do you see that playing out in your team, and what do you feel like those changes have done to the game as a whole? Well, you know, it's, you know, the 4 quarters. We're playing 4 quarters now. And for that was probably a bigger adjustment for coaches than players. I mean, listen, players just play, you know, so, but it does affect the possessions. Media timeouts are different. You know, sometimes if you get down early, you got to spend a media timeout in the first couple minutes. You won't have another one. You can go 8-9 minute stretch without a media timeout. So, but I think it's been very beneficial. I think I do like the changes. I especially like some of the changes where you're under a minute, you call a timeout, you can advance the ball. That's pretty special. You know, we've used that in the past and it's worked well for us. But ultimately, it comes down to there's minutes on the clock and players just play. We mentioned with your background, you are familiar with Southern Conference action. How do you see the league breaking down this year that your team will have to navigate? Well, the league is really good. I mean, Chat's been up there. Mercer had an excellent year last year. You know, East Tennessee State is returning a lot of players, good players. You know, Furman, Sanford, UNC Greensboro, you know, on down the line with Western Carolina as well too. Like, they're all good programs, and they're all wanting to win a championship. So everybody's in that same boat, but we need to raise our level and try to compete in the top half and go from there. Jimmy Garrity, the women's basketball program, laying a foundation for the future here at Wofford.
These are the student athletes. This is where they train. These are their homes. This is where they become Rhodes Scholars and academic All-Americans. These are the athletes they've always admired. This is where champions are crowned and moments are made. This is the Southern Conference.
General Shale makes your great outdoors even better with big savings on its outdoor living collection. Everything you need to create your own backyard fire pit, outdoor fireplace, General Shale delivers to your home and can recommend a contractor. Or offers easy-to-follow instructions to do it yourself. Save money now on backyard fun with General Shale's complete outdoor living collection. Hurry, your great outdoors is waiting for you.
Red 97! Set! Red 97!
Did you say 97?
Yes.
You know, that reminds me of Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating.
97%?
Helped by Geico's fast and friendly claim service.
Oh yeah, baby. Geico's as fast and friendly as it gets.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
At Ingalls, we have a very special family. A family of farmers, ranchers, and dairymen. Clerks, butchers, and bakers. Deli workers, pharmacists, and florists. We work hard every day to bring you the very best. And we'll continue to wake up every morning and work as hard as you do. This is our town, and we built this community together. Ingalls. your neighbor for over 50 years.
We don't do it for recognition or a pat on the back. Not for glory or any award. We make the highest quality pork products because that's what you deserve. And we're honored when you have us over for dinner. That's why pride is in our name. Carolina Pride. Crafted with Southern pride.
I see lightning in the sky. Hold me closely, my dear. Yeah, the storm still raging inside of my soul, and I see lightning in the sky.
Hard-playing kids, taking the ball all the way in. College athletes burning up the tracks. It doesn't matter if you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just into casual recreation. If you get hurt, the doctors, athletic trainers, and physical therapists at Spartanburg Regional Sports Medicine Institute will get you back.
We go 1 minute.
Yep.
Wofford Terriers, Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, both back out of the locker room. 10 points separating them. It's Wofford 35, Coastal Carolina 25. As we get set for second half action, back inside Benjamin Johnson Arena, alongside Bob McFarland. And Bob, this is really a contest that saw Wofford get out to a 9-0 advantage before Coastal Carolina was even able to get on the board, and that's pretty much the differential we have right now.
Exactly right. A great start for Wofford, and it really paid off. Coastal Carolina got it down to, I think, a 2-point game at one time, 13-11 in the first quarter, but Wofford rallied. They've had as much as an 11-point lead. And shooting-wise, Coastal Carolina really has warmed up since that 0-for-7 start. They're hitting 43.5% from the field. Wofford shooting nearly 44%. But Coastal Carolina only 0-for-2 from the three-point area. Wofford 3 of 9. But Coastal Carolina out rebounding the Terriers by 2. But the turnovers may be the difference. 12 for Wofford so far, 12 for Coastal Carolina, 8 for Wofford. And the Terriers have converted those into 12 points off the turnovers compared to 7. 12 fast break points for Wofford. That's something that you want to emphasize. Coach Garrity wants a little more up-tempo style of basketball, and with that 12-6 advantage in fast break points, they've been able to do that so far.
Certainly the case. Great numbers. Bob walking you through it individually. Gregory and Miller leading the way for Coastal Carolina with 6 points apiece. Trio of players with 8, all knocking on the door of double figures for Wofford. Corella, Washington, Bear, all with 8 apiece in the contest. Coastal comes out with a design play, cuts the lead to just that, 8, as they pick up a bucket to begin things here. A couple of other numbers to talk about, and really when you discuss numbers and you look at the way things have gone as Washington misses on her first effort, this is a Coastal team that has matched Wofford since that early spurt. They've not been able to outplay them, just really match them since that time. And we'll see if they can cut into the lead as a result. Wofford struggling to get a stop on the first 2 trips down the floor. And Coastal seems to be the team, Bob, coming out of the locker room with some fire.
Exactly right. A lot of intense defensive pressure there on that first couple possessions. Kendra unable to get the layup earlier, but now they're trying to run in their offense. And Wannick gets a good roll there.
Wannick will get the kind rim, and there's the first Wofford points of this third period. Of course, we talk about the points. You look at rebounds, Penholster pulling down 5 boards to lead the way for Wofford, and finishing up on individual performances, leading rebounders Gregory and Adams on the Coastal Carolina side of things. So that gets you caught up on all of the first half stats, the first half key performers. And now here, the initial feeling you get in the start of this second half is that Coastal Carolina has intention of taking this lead and seeing it shrink right away. And once again, Robinson able to drive home a bucket. The lead now just 6.
Yeah, she had a couple quick fouls. Couldn't see much action in that second quarter as Wannick misses the 3. Now got a foul, looks like on the Chanticleers this time. As Washington went down, that's going to be a foul on Archer.
Archer whistled underneath as you saw Washington go to the ground. The Terriers set to inbound as there to do it for Wofford is Trainer. Now we're going to have a substitution. Trainer a little slowly going to the bench as Blakeney comes back in. And Amashia Blakely inbounds the basketball. And now another Wofford player down to the deck as a foul is going to be called on Alexis Robinson. And here's a couple of quick fouls picked up by Coastal Carolina, Bob.
And Robinson got a couple fouls in that first quarter and didn't see much action. She already gets her 3rd.
Letting it go out of bounds, but not understanding it was going to stay on this end of the floor. Gregory, and Wofford retains it.
I see Sarah Trainer down in the corner. They're getting treatment from the trainer. I'm not sure if it looked like she hurt herself in some way. I didn't see what happened.
Well, I mentioned she was very slow coming off,
yeah.
and it looked like she was going to inbound the ball when suddenly Coach Garrett and his staff realized she wasn't 100%. They immediately brought Blakeney in, and we'll see if we can find anything out for you about her condition. Trainer off, and you know, this is a player that Wofford was without in that 10-point victory over North Carolina Central for other reasons. As you get a whistle and a foul, the bucket is good on the other end of the floor for Archer. And with the foul on Wannick, Archer will go to the line. Chance to make this a 1-possession basketball game. So Jada Williams has to be pleased with the way her team has started this third period. Here's the bucket and the and-1 chance for her sophomore out of Indianapolis. And she knocks it down. It is a 3-point basketball game. So a 10-point halftime lead, now just 1 possession, Bob.
And a walk by Wannick in the backcourt, and
Coastal's going to get it right back.
Get a feeling Coach Jada Williams had a little meeting that may have been kind of loud in that locker room.
Well, and her team has certainly responded. As Miller, one of those high-profile players from that second period, is ready to set the pick. Instead, releases inside, but she runs into the tall trees, and it's last touched by Washington down there, who comes away with the block.
I think, yeah, she'll get credit for that block, and good defense that time, but Coastal Carolina really coming out with a lot of momentum, with a chance to tie with a 3, but they've not hit a 3-pointer all evening long.
Well, what was it, Bob? It was a 9-0 run for Wofford that began the game. You're right now looking at a Coastal Carolina team in the midst of a 8-2 run, and they've cut into this lead pretty sizably to begin this third period.
Yeah, great start to this third quarter for Coastal Carolina. Now a lot of pressure trying to get the Terriers to commit a turnover here.
Wofford looking for a shot out top.
Wannick trying to get a screen.
They get it inside and underneath the Penholster, but Coastal Carolina with an answer. I correct my math here, 9-2 run for Coastal Carolina to begin this one after the 9-0 run to begin things for Wofford. And the difference in the basketball game, just 3 right now, 37-34. Both teams with spurts to begin the respective halves that they've controlled. And Coastal Carolina A team having never, with the shot clock down to just 3, in the basketball game, will get a bucket to beat the shot clock. What work by Sid Gibson, and a Coastal Carolina team looking to take over the lead for the first time is within 1.
Beautiful play that time by Gibson. The shot clock running down. She was aware of it and was able to get the shot off and get it in just as the shot clock ran down.
So Washington down that left side. Wofford with just 10 to shoot. Here's Penholster inside. She's blanketed up pretty good. This is going to be straight blocked.
And went out of bounds off her also.
By Hamilton. And last touch by Wofford. And so here is the chance for Coastal Carolina, inserting Robinson into the game to inbound it, to take their first lead of the contest after being dominant in this first 3 minutes plus of the third period.
Yeah, the intensity has picked up dramatically for Coastal Carolina, and they've completely dominated this third quarter.
Well, and we should bring it back up, Bob, that Trainer going out of the basketball game. We're not sure exactly what type of injury, but sitting over on that bench now, she's been tended to, but this run to some degree coinciding with her departure. And a whistle underneath. This is going to go the other way, as this is offensive against Coastal Carolina. And Trainer, a player they certainly look to as a calming mechanism, as a ball handler, as a force in these kind of moments. Washington brings it up the floor, so interesting to see how long Wofford will be without her presence. Washington from the corner, and it's just off. A rebound to Archer. And again, you say, well, this team certainly can, they don't like to function without her, but they can function without her by virtue of that effort the last time out.
Oh, a couple of offensive rebounds. Coastal Carolina can't take advantage of it. That's something that Coastal Carolina has been good at.
Second and third chances, you're right, Bob, and none of them fruitful. Coastal Carolina not able to quite get past the hump with snatching the lead away from the Terriers. 5 minutes left, midway point, third period. Wofford looking for a bucket. They won't get it from Wanek, though she tried. Bayer's just short. And finally able to come away with a rebound is Robinson. Both teams with multiple chances.
It's been down at this end of the basket. Both teams had trouble down here on this basket to our right.
Well, and Coastal the last time on this end of the floor with a second and third chance it didn't materialize. This may be the wisest thing for the Chanticleers. They slow it down just a bit behind Gibson. 10 to shoot. Coastal Carolina in search of their first lead. Shot clock now down to 3. This is blocked by Washington, and just ahead of the shot clock. A shot off for Robinson, and we're going to get a whistle. And a foul on Wofford will take us to timeout. The Terriers led by 10 at the break. That lead has shrunk to 37-36, a one-point basketball game inside Benjamin Johnson Arena here on Terrier Vision.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
The madness begins here. Make sure you're at the U.S. Cellular Center in Asheville, North Carolina, March 2nd through 6th for the 2017 SoCon Basketball Championships presented by General Shale. You don't want to miss the action as your favorite SoCon teams compete for a championship and a berth in the NCAA tournament. Book your travel and tickets by logging on to SoConTravel.com or by contacting the U.S. Cellular Center box office. Madness begins here. Get your tickets today.
Coastal Carolina on an 11-2 run to begin the second half of action, and they pulled within one at 37-36, and they'll have a chance to tie the game, perhaps take the lead, depending on how successful they are from the charity stripe, and that is where Alexis Robinson gets set to fire away. Robinson, the senior out of St. Louis, Missouri, ties it 37 all. We had seen Wofford go up by as many as 11. The game was tied for only 17 seconds early. And that free throw off the mark, but they're going to call a violation of the lane on Wofford, and another chance will be given for Robinson to snatch the lead away for Coastal.
And the Terriers have gone almost 5 minutes without a basket.
Yeah, that one field goal of this second half came at the 9-minute mark, and this is off the mark again. So 2 chances from the charity stripe for Coastal Carolina to take their initial lead. They couldn't make it happen. We're tied at 37 with 4 and change left, third period. And there is the long-awaited field goal for Wofford. It comes from Maria Corella. How often does Corella step up when the Terriers need her most?
Yeah, she was wide open that time. You can't leave her alone. That's her third three-pointer of the night.
5 points in this third period for Wofford, but that will keep them out front. And this last touched by Wanek.
Yeah, she stopped the backdoor play that time as Miller tried to get it inside to Archer, but Wanek got a hand on it and knocked away the ball.
Trainer remaining out of the basketball game over there on the bench area. And valuable minutes for Blakeney continue here in the third period as she's up top. And working underneath is Miller on Pinholster. And Wofford will get a beneficial whistle as the turnover will give it back to the Terriers.
Again, pressure in the backcourt there. Terriers trying to get it across.
And they'll break the pressure out front to Lambden. Now inside where Pinholster turns around with a bucket. Another of those Wofford droughts that sees when it ends. The Terriers begin to pile on the points, Bob. That's a couple of buckets in a row and the lead back out to 5. And how does this feel for Coastal Carolina taken away? It's going to go into the backcourt. They're going to say touched by Wofford. Yeah. So Coastal will get a chance to bring it back across. But how must it feel for a Coastal Carolina team, Bob, who has been within 1 earlier in the game, now tied here just a few moments ago, but have not been able to push themselves ahead at any point in this contest. They can pull up to Wofford, but can't seem to push ahead of them.
Yeah, but they've got 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, all the fourth quarter to go, and they've got the momentum. That's quite a shot that time for the corner by Archer.
That's a momentum builder as a sophomore out of Indianapolis. Makes it a one-possession contest once more.
Oh, nice.
Beautifully broken. And underneath, laying it home with the finish is Lambden, the junior, knocks it home.
Yeah, nice play that time. Pinholster saw her, Kelsey streaking to the basket, got her to her for the layup. Pinholster with that basket earlier. That was only her second shot of the night. Her first field goal.
Inside and looking for room underneath the bucket was Robinson. Contact under there as it'll go Wofford's way. Substitution coming in. Nairia Hamilton, the freshman out of Goldsboro, North Carolina, back in there. And set to inbound for Wofford is Lambden. So the Terriers keeping Coastal Carolina at arm's length after the Chanticleers tied this game at 37 all. By virtue of a run 11-2 to begin this third period. Good feed inside. Lambden will kick it out to the corner, and another 3 from Corella. Maria Corella, who is in double digits in this basketball game with a couple of big threes in the last several moments.
Yeah, 14 to be exact, 4 3-pointers in this game.
And timely, to say the least, from Corella. Lead grows back to 7. Terriers were up 9-0 to begin the game. They had a lead of 10 at the break. They've kept it around 8 or 10 most of the contest, though Coastal has a couple of times cut into that lead. We were tied at 37 all, and then Wofford since that time has outscored Coastal 10-3. This is a game of runs, Bob, back and forth.
That's right. Hamilton had that shot on the inside. Oh, now nice steal this time by Archer. Got a 2-on-1. Archer
Worked on by Blakeney, and she'll be whistled for the foul underneath. Blakeney, the redshirt junior, picks up a second personal. That's a 4th Wofford team foul in this third period. with 1:11 remaining. Number 11 at the line. Archer has the first one rim out. Well, if Coastal is unable to pull close again, and still, Bob, obviously there's plenty of time left for them to do that, but they'll look back to the moment where they had 2 different chances at the free throw line after that violation created a second chance, the lane violation, to take the lead.
Yeah,
never able to take the lead in this game to this point.
They're only 50% from the free throw line. 7 big missed free throws in this game for Coastal Carolina, and that's right now the difference in the game.
Yeah, none bigger than those 2 we just referenced. This one does go down, and the lead is 6. And chasing it, but not able to save it is Wanek. And after Wanek loses it out of bounds, it will belong to Coastal Carolina.
Coach Garrity not happy about that turnover.
His facial expression tells the story, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't know words to describe that. Oh, my.
Long 3 off the front of the rim. Flying in there with the rebound was Robinson.
Ooh.
And draws contact. And Wofford with that foul may have bailed Robinson out, who was going to the turf. Pinholster in disbelief as she's called for the foul.
Oh, wow. I thought it was on Corella, but it's going to be on Pinholster.
Take a look here. They get Pinholster for that reach. Looks like Corella got all ball in there as Robinson was going to the floor, but obviously 5 team fouls on Wofford now, so Coastal shooting the rest of the way, trying to improve their percentage at the line. That'll help.
Yeah, they need those free throws. Coastal Carolina's missed a number of free throws in this game. Now Trainer back in, that's good.
Trainer back in for the first time. We talked about her sitting out for the first time since that injury of some type on the other end of the floor, sitting out the majority of this 3rd period. They had to play without her as she was taking the LSAT the last time around. Key player both in her basketball IQ and her ability to distribute the basketball. And an interesting story about the LSAT day. She said, I wanted to root my teammates on. I was ready to cheer for them. Taken away from her here. Back to that as Coastal is on the run, and the feed, true, but the bucket missed, and now Trainer will take it away on the other end. Said, I wanted to watch my team, and she paid the $10 just like everybody else to watch the basketball game and cheer them on after she took the LSAT.
And that's a nice play by Blakeney.
As she watches from a distance here, we'll see Blakeney get a high five, a little bit of encouragement from the aforementioned Sarah Trainer as she goes to the line for the N1 opportunity. That comes at a great time with 31 seconds left, 3rd period for the Terriers. A much different look at Jimmy Garrity than what we saw a moment ago.
That's
now,
right.
Bob.
A little bit different that time.
But finishing that up on Trainer speaks to her devotion. She was getting a little frustrated. The LSAT ran a little long for her, and she couldn't pull it up as quickly as she wanted, and then said, hey, you know, like everybody else, I paid the $10. It was worth it to watch this team play. She's not watching, she's participating, and it's good for Terrier fans to see her back out there on the floor after going away for several moments with some type of injury that does not seem to be lasting in effect. Wofford up the floor with 3 seconds on the clock. Blakeney fires away and drains it on the floater for 3. And the Terriers have reinstated their 10-point lead with that bucket, which beats the 3rd period buzzer. Watch Blakeney, who has lifted her game and her team here in the 3rd.
Wow, what a great shot. She said, saw the clock, had plenty of time, and it was obviously in time. They're going to make sure, I think, whether it was a 2 or a 3.
While they watch, while they check, we'll break away, come back with the 4th period in just a moment. Terriers saw their lead shrink to 0. We were tied at 37 all. Since that time, Wofford has reclaimed control of the game and reinstated their 10-point lead.
Hard-playing kids, taking the ball all the way in. College athletes burning up the tracks. It doesn't matter if you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just into casual recreation. If you get hurt, the doctors, athletic trainers, and physical therapists at Spartanburg Regional Sports Medicine Institute will get you back into your game better than ever. We utilize the latest in orthopedic care so you can return from injury to the energetic lifestyle you love. To find out more, call us at 864-606-4931.
Out of the Southern Conference, they'll travel to Youngstown State and continue making a deep run into the FCS playoffs this Saturday.
Unbelievable what a season they have had with all kinds of adversity on their fourth-string quarterback right now, and just a great job by Coach Mike Ayers' ball club.
Big win down at the Citadel against the Palmetto State rival and SoCon rival, the current, I guess you should say, regular season Southern Conference champions, taken down by the Terriers. A team that was picked to finish 6th in the conference this year, by the way, and you do tip your cap to Mike Ayers and his team, and certainly all of us here in Spartanburg wishing them the best this Saturday as they take on one of the best mascots in all of NCAA football, right? The Penguins of
Youngstown State, yeah.
All right, let's talk about that third quarter just a moment as we begin the fourth. An 11-2 run to begin the third period for Coastal Carolina as they tied the game, but in the end, these teams matched each other 18 points apiece in the third period. Would you have dreamed that they had scored 18 apiece in that period when it started 11-2 Coastal, Bob?
That said something about Wofford, how they responded to a little adversity when Coastal Carolina tied the ball game up, and they were able to come back. And now with that 10-point lead, and great ending to the third quarter for Marsha Blakeney with 6 straight points, including that last-second three-pointer, which was counted as a 3.
Yeah, Marsha Blakeney's 3 did stand, as did the 10-point lead. And it's going to be an offensive foul charged to Washington. And I believe that's her 3rd.
Yep, that's her 3rd.
She picked up those 2 fouls in the first half, and it is, in fact, her 3rd first team foul of the 4th period. But you called it, Bob. Amashia Blakeney, who has just had a monster game for Wofford already. 8 points. Her next bucket will put her in double figures. She'll join Corella, who has 14 to lead the way in that category. But that floater at the buzzer, as controlled as she was on that play, as big a moment for Wofford as there can be. It is a major difference mentally, Bob, for Coastal Carolina, down 7 versus down 10 going into the fourth here.
Exactly. That's quite a psychological barrier there. And Wofford's defense has certainly been ramped up in this fourth quarter as well as the end of the third quarter.
They would have felt like, speaking of Coastal Carolina, that perhaps they'd at least cut into the lead to some degree. But that floating 3 by Blakeney saw to it that no headway was made in the third period. The Wofford lead of 10 at the half stays just that as we begin the fourth. And it stays there across the first minute plus now. Both teams looking to strike first in the fourth period.
A lot of standing around now by Coastal Carolina.
Alongside Bob McFarland, Jason Patterson walking you through this home contest, a rare home contest in the month of December for Wofford here on Terrier Vision. Coastal underneath, reverse from Archer. And the first points of the fourth will belong to the Chanticleers.
She's got 9 points in this second half.
Bob, we talk about what a rare home game this is for Wofford. Terriers departed Benjamin Johnson Arena after a November 22nd game against Gardner-Webb in which they won 75-66. This is their first time back since then, and they won't play here again until 2017, January 5th to be specific, as they open up conference play against Western Carolina. When we say rare home game, we mean it.
Exactly right. A lot will have happened between now and then. We'll know who's playing for the National College Football Championship and who's going to be in the NFL playoffs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, great deal to transpire before the Terriers come back to Benjo. They ripped down the games remaining, which was at 20, turned it into 19 between both the men and women that will play here in this storied facility before it closes up shop at the end of this year. Couple of takeaways, you got it. And it's Blakeney who's been pretty smooth in this contest, but a little bit off the mark this trip down the floor. Wofford still looking for their first points of the fourth. And another Coastal Carolina run to begin this fourth period. Well, they are now within 6 once more.
Boy, they won't go away. And that's Rachel Gregory's first basket since she had to leave in the second quarter because of foul trouble.
Yeah, Gregory did play a great deal in the third period, but as you said, very limited Gregory, by virtue of that bucket, evens herself with Robinson and Miller, who both have 8 points, just behind Archer, who, as you mentioned a moment ago, has put herself in double digits. And here is Trainer to the line.
Yeah, she's yet to scratch tonight, but she came back from that injury she had earlier, and she's got her first points of the evening.
She does, and so many other things that she does away from scoring make her so valuable on the floor as well, Bob.
Exactly. She's averaging 4.5 assists coming into play tonight. She's, we mentioned that she took the LSAT. She's also a part of one of the co-presidents of the Wofford Student Athlete Advisory Committee, along with David Marvin from the football team, who's done a marvelous job for the Terriers in football as a place kicker and punter. So she's a lot of these young ladies are very well-rounded academically and athletically.
Student athletes in every sense of the word, and right now nursing a 7-point lead down the stretch after her free throw.
Wow, that's Marissa Bayer.
That's a fourth. Our second team foul against Bayer, and that's going to bring Pinholster back in as Bayer goes off. Bayer departing, as you said it there, Bob, after pouring in 8 points in the basketball game in her own right. Inbound quickly to Miller. Good move by Miller, and Yasmin Miller makes it a 5-point game. Miller the latest to hit double figures for Coastal Carolina. This taken away underneath, and Robinson. Coastal continues to make a push here early fourth once again. We called it in the middle portion of the third period a game of runs. It's worth repeating because that's what we've seen between these two teams here in this one. Timeout being called with the lead at 5. Just under 7 minutes left to play in this contest. Wofford, they've been out front from the start, and they lead at 54-49 as we break away.
Red 97! Set! Red 97!
Did you say 97?
Yes.
You know, that reminds me of Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating.
97%?
Helped by Geico's fast and friendly claim service.
Oh yeah, baby. Geico's as fast and friendly as it gets.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot.
I think we should have taken a left at the river.
Tarzan, no. Where Tarzan go?
Tarzan does not know where Tarzan go. Hey, excuse me, do you know where the waterfall is? Waterfall?
No. Me, Tarzan. King of jungle.
Why don't you want to just...
If you're a couple, you fight over directions. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
You have to do that right in my ear.
Everyone else may be heading home for the holidays, Bob. This Wofford Terriers women's basketball team will not. We mentioned a long run on the road coming up. Here's how it looks. December 10th at UNC Asheville. On the 17th, they'll be at UNC Wilmington. December 19th at Charleston Southern. December 30th at UNF, North Florida. December 31st at Jacksonville, and January 2nd at Kennesaw State. So they're going to be in the Carolinas, Florida, or Georgia. They're not venturing way away from the friendly conference of Spartanburg, South Carolina, but they will not be back home until a January 5th date with Western Carolina. It's going to be a critical run to define this basketball team's season, Bob.
Exactly. A nice way to end the new year, being in Florida, too, with those two games, UNF and Jacksonville, both in Jacksonville, but nevertheless a tough, challenging road trip, and a nice steal by Corella on the defensive end, and Kendra Washington with the layup on the offensive end.
Beautiful feed down to Washington, and Wofford out of the timeout, answering to stretch the lead back to 7 as Coastal had once more cut into the Terriers' advantage. If you just happen to be joining us, Coastal has not led at any point in this game. Wofford, on the strength of a 9-0 run to begin the contest, has at least held the Chanticleers at arm's length throughout. And second and third chances this trip down the floor for Coastal before a block by Pinholster ends their run.
Yeah, again, a couple of offensive rebounds by Coastal Carolina, but unable to take advantage of that.
Now Trainer, who got on the board a moment ago with a free throw, will continue to distribute out top. Works it to Wannick, and now back her way. 10 on the shot clock for Wofford. Under 6 to play in the game. And it's going to be on Pinholster and will head the other way.
That'll be her
fourth personal on Pinholster. You're right, Bob, exactly what I was thinking as she was called for the illegal screen, and now Coastal to inbound as Miller right in front of our table is set to work it back in for Coastal Carolina. This Coastal team not going quietly in what Wofford hopes will be their first ever win in this series. 10th meeting between these two dating back to the late 80s. All of them belonging to the Chanticleer. This over and back will give it back to Wofford.
Yeah, it went off the foot of Gibson, and then she tried to recover, but she touched the ball. And it's a turnover for Coastal Carolina, and that's something they've had the chances to cut into the Wofford lead, but then mistakes like that, they miss shots on the inside, they miss free throws, and not been able to get into the lead in this game.
I hadn't talked SoCon yet, Bob. Quickly, while we work our way down into the critical stages of this one, we have a little housekeeping being taken care of on the floor. Mercer off to a 7-0 start, and then this Wofford team with as many wins in non-conference as anyone else in the SoCon right now.
Exactly. I saw Chattanooga 4-6 overall.
Yes.
I think they usually play a tough non-conference schedule anyway, but that was a little bit surprising as well. But when conference play begins, it's all 0-0.
And non-conference, you don't know because the schedules are so different from one team to the next. It's not really a barometer of where folks are going to be when they hit conference play. But it has to be encouraging to Terrier fans that Wofford is at least right there in the thick of things when it comes to an overall record, and they're above 500 thus far on the year.
Exactly, and they'd love to get 2 games over 500 as they go on that long road trip. If they can pull out the win here tonight, this is similar to the game against Gardner-Webb.
Up 7 as we speak, and with the basketball as it comes into Trainer. 5 minutes and change. That's how long the Terriers have to hold on to extend their home winning streak to 6 in a row. Washington underneath may be called for the offensive foul and will.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious there.
Washington able to lay home the bucket, but before she did, put a pretty good blow on a Coastal Carolina defender inside. Now that's 4 there, and Washington will take a seat. So some foul trouble beginning to emerge in relation to some key components for the Terriers right now, Bob.
All the big players, Washington, Bayer, and Pinholster, each with 4 fouls, and right now Bayer's the only one who's in the game.
It's going to open up a chance for Coastal Carolina inside. They go right down there, but the shot rolls off. A chance for the Chanticleers to exploit a foul situation for Wofford as they try and claw back in it. And a big bucket for Lambden. Lambden, who scored earlier from this side of the floor, down low on the other side, able to knock one home.
That's a big basket. Try to keep the momentum on Wofford's side right now with those couple big players out with 4 fouls.
The lead at 9. Can Wofford protect it? Here's a travel call on Miller. And 3 subs coming in for Coastal Carolina. They're going to bring the combo of Archer, Gregory, and Gibson back in there. So some of the key pieces for Coastal entering with some of those major contributors inside for Wofford having to sit at the moment. We'll break away, come back with the final 4.5 to settle it here inside Benjamin Johnson Arena in just a moment on Terrier Vision.
The madness begins here. Make sure you're at the U.S. Cellular Center in Asheville, North Carolina, March 2nd through 6th for the 2017 SoCon Basketball Championships presented by General Shale. You don't want to miss the action as your favorite SoCon teams compete for a championship and a berth in the NCAA tournament. Book your travel and tickets by logging on to SoConTravel.com or by contacting the U.S. Cellular Center box office. Madness begins here. Get your tickets today.
General Shale makes your great outdoors even better with big savings on its outdoor living collection. Everything you need to create your own backyard fire pit, outdoor fireplace, General Shale delivers to your home and can recommend a contractor. Or offers easy-to-follow instructions to do it yourself. Save money now on backyard fun with General Shale's complete outdoor living collection. Hurry, your great outdoors is waiting for you.
looking to take over this floor here in just a bit to prepare for a game they have on schedule tomorrow night. They'll make it 18 contests remaining here inside the farewell tour for the Benjo with their battle tomorrow evening. But right now, all eyes on this women's team trying to nurse a 9-point lead home, Bob.
Yeah, they've got to put up with some defensive pressure here by the Chanticleers. And with a couple of big players in foul trouble on the bench.
And Bear right now being asked to take up space inside as she's the lone big in the contest for Wofford. This taken away for an instant, and now the Terriers get it back with 4 minutes to play. Just 10 to shoot, however. Trainer tries to feed it inside. This is stolen away by Archer. And out front, trying to use the glass was Robinson. And the Terriers will eventually have it picked up by Lambden.
Oh, Coastal's had some opportunities, they just can't take advantage of it.
And Lambden, the junior, with some key moments in this game on both ends of the floor. 3:40 left. Wofford, good movement. Again, under 10 on the shot clock. Floating in there was Wanik and won't go. A rebound for Coastal Carolina. Archer down the lane, and she'll get the roll. As a whistle blows, the basket counts, and Coastal Carolina once again takes a bite out of the Wofford lead, and they'll go to the line with a chance for more. Boy, the rim so unkind to the Chanticleers early in this game. Coming around and to the stripe, Archer, who in this contest has made 4 of 5 free throws. So she's made almost half the free throws that Coastal Carolina has been able to put in the bottom of the net. Broadcaster's jinx rattles off the back of the rim, and the lead stays steady at 7.
And now you got Washington and Pinholster back in, both playing with 4 fouls. They've got to be careful.
Up near the elbow, got to be impressed with what Coastal Carolina has done to hang around in this one, to battle back, and they come away with another defensive rebound. In critical moments with under 3 to play. Coastal Carolina trying to remain perfect against the Terriers in this, their 10th all-time meeting. But Wofford with some things on the line as well, looking for 6 in a row, dating back to last season here inside Benjamin Johnson Arena. Boy, what a move behind the back, and then able to lay it up was Gibson. Her shot doesn't go, but she'll go to the line. Shooting a couple. This foul is on Pinholster.
She's out.
And that's 5 for Pinholster, so she'll have to take a seat, and Bear will come back in. They lose Pinholster with 2.5 left, Bob.
Yeah, only 4 points for her tonight, but she had at least 8 rebounds at one after the last break. And she did well in that regard, but she got into some foul difficulty. Yeah, 8 rebounds in all
6
tonight.
of them on defense, 2 of them on the offensive end of the floor. And this free throw goes down. Lead at 6. Just 2 possessions now with a great deal of basketball left. This one far from settled.
Yeah, it's Coastal Carolina keeps hanging in there.
Front of the rim, back of the iron, down through the bottom of the net, and the lead just 5. And coming in for Wofford is Blakeney, as Corella, the 3-point threat, takes a seat. Terriers going for a couple of ball handlers here. The one handling it right now is Trainer, and she's covered up with pressure. Remember, there is a 10-second rule in women's college basketball now, and we're going to get a push right up near midcourt. Coastal foul going to be called.
May end up being a free throw shooting contest.
Now 5 on the board for both teams now from a foul standpoint, so everybody's shooting the rest of the way.
Sarah Trainer pleading her case about a foul earlier to the official.
Here's Wanik at the line where it counts. Terriers coming into these free throws down the stretch, 6 of 7 on the day, and they are able to get a couple of big ones from Wanik. Lead 7.
That's somebody who you want at the line in a pressure situation. She knocks those down.
Wanik, who shot 75% from the stripe this year. 60-53, 2 and change left to go. Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. with possession of the ball. Driving down the baseline is Archer, and it'll stay on this end of the floor. 12 on the shot clock, 2:06 on the game clock. Wofford shooting at a clip of 45% on the game. Coastal Carolina just under 40% at 38. Wide open down the lane, and that may be it for Bear.
Yeah.
As this is going to prevent Robinson from working toward the bucket. She will go to the line, and now both Penholster and Bear having fouled out. Coming back in for Wofford is Lambden. Without the virtue of those two bigs, the Terriers are going to have to survive the final 2 minutes, Bob.
Yeah, she ended up with 8 points and 3 rebounds.
And the bucket for Robinson from the charity stripe cuts this thing to 6, and Robinson can get it just a little closer than that. Robinson would have put herself in double figures with this free throw. You've got a violation underneath. This one on Coastal Carolina, so there will be no additional shot. Lead stays at 6. 1:58 left to play inside Benjamin Johnson Arena between the Terriers and the Chanticleers. Trainer and company trying to break that press once more. And she'll weave through it pretty much all alone that time.
Yeah, Trainer almost lost the ball, but Lambden right there to pick the ball up.
Now Blakeney, who's been an excellent ball handler in this game. This
foul.
Nearly taken away by Gregory, and she will be whistled for the foul. And that for Gregory will be a 3rd personal. Remember, she picked up the 2 early in the first half, but nothing since. And she thought perhaps she had stripped that one away. But it will provide a couple of shots for Trainer.
Gregory averaging nearly 16 a game. She only has 8 points tonight. She's been held down partly because she lost a lot of playing time in that second quarter because of foul difficulty.
Yeah, you're right, Bob. We didn't see her in the second. It's taken some time to get her rhythm back. And Wofford's done a good job taking her away tonight, keying on her, forcing other players to step up. Players like Miller and Archer, who are both in double figures in this game. Trainer with just the 1 point. Misses here on the first. And give her 2 on the night, both of them from the free throw line. Lead 7 with 1:38 to go.
If you're Wofford, the clock can't move fast enough.
Elbow, leaving a wide open shot for Sid Gibson, and the senior from High Point becomes an 8-point scorer in this game. More importantly, has it down to 5 again, 2-possession basketball game. And this is going to be a foul on Gregory, which will be her 4th. And that a little bit of a cheap foul there, Bob, in that she just came around from behind and was whistled. This will end up sending Wofford to the line. And that 4th foul now on Gregory, the player that, you know, you would want the basketball in her hands if you're Coastal Carolina at the end. And she ends up being the player having a foul here. Looking up at that clock, Coach Garrity and his staff, they got to be wondering, we've held on to this lead throughout the entire game. How much longer do we have to hold on? Well, the answer, 1 minute, 14 seconds. And the margin they'll have to hold has grown to 7 with timeout on the floor. Wofford with a 9-0 run to begin things. Both these teams have gone on runs back and forth since that time. Coastal Carolina has tied this game on a couple of different occasions. Most recently at 37 all, although they pulled within a possession well since then. But Bob, they have never been able to take the lead away from Wofford. And so far down the stretch in this 4th period, the Terriers are holding them at arm's length.
Exactly, and Wofford's been able to do just enough to come up with some big shots on some key occasions, especially in that 3rd quarter. Remember Maria Corella with a couple of big 3-pointers. Blakeney scoring the last 6 points of the 3rd quarter to give the Terriers that 10-point lead coming into the 4th quarter. And right now, Coastal Carolina really ramping up the defensive intensity, trying to force some turnovers, trying to get the ball back, but they've missed some shots down at the stretch, and they've missed some free throws as well. That's kept them from cutting into this Wofford lead.
A couple of big players for Wofford having fouled out, a couple other role players injured and unavailable to go. So it's been a limited crew across the last several moments for first-year head coach Jimmy Garrity. So far, so good for he and the Terriers as they try and nurse home this victory, which would do a couple of things. It would be the first win for Wofford over Coastal Carolina in the history of this series. It would keep Wofford above 500. A couple of games there to be specific at 5-3. And one more thing it would do, 6th straight win here at home, dating back to last season, and a little bit of momentum heading out on that brutal road trip of over a month. Coastal Carolina with other thoughts. It's going to be tipped away and chased toward the corner by Archer, but she can't quite get there. Minute 7 left to play. Lead steady for Wofford.
I get a feeling that Chanticleers are going to try to foul, put the Terriers on the line. That may be the best hope for the Chanticleers to get back into this game. Oh, or a turnover.
Takeaway there by Robinson. And it's going to stay on this end. Jump ball, the possession arrow is with Coastal Carolina. So the tie-up, giving Coastal a chance here with 1:03 to play. Out top to Gregory. Gregory playing with 4 fouls. But in this last minute, you go all out, whatever the case. And how about that from Robinson? 63-58, lead 5, and it comes down to the ability to make them from the charity stripe for Wofford.
And it'll be Kelsey Lambin at the line. She's only been to the line 8 times this year, but she's 6 of 8.
Wofford as a team, a 66% free throw shooting team.
Yeah, they hit over 70% last year, so a little bit down from last year so far.
And it rattles out on the first one for Lambden. If you're wondering about Lambden specifically, she came into the game 6 of 8, 75%.
Well, the brain trust of the Wofford basketball coaching staff there.
Anxiously awaiting these final 54.3. The second shot goes down, so it is a 6-point lead with 54 seconds remaining. All right, Bob, this one not over yet, but Wofford certainly in the driver's seat right now.
So far, so good. 6-point lead, that's 2 possessions. And Wofford needs to keep up the defensive pressure there and try to keep Coastal Carolina off the boards. You don't want to give up any second chance points at this time. And once Wofford gets the ball back, they need to watch out for the foul. Don't turn the ball over. Give them any easy layups. And also make your free throws down the stretch as well.
Game was tied at 37 all. Wofford on the strength of an early run. 9-0 run by Wofford to begin the game, an 11-2 run by Coastal Carolina to begin the 3rd period. Chanticleers went on an outstanding run at the beginning of this 4th period just to leave things in doubt. Now they have the basketball, down 6, under a minute to play. And just inside the 3-point line, drawing contact, and fortunate for Wofford that she was just inside the 3-point line because Gibson will only shoot 2 here. And that will stop the clock, which is also a worst nightmare scenario for the home-standing Terriers right now.
And that's Blakeney's 3rd foul.
So not as dire as Washington, who is standing in there with 4. And if you're wondering why you haven't in the last several moments, if you're just joining us, seen Penholster or Bear, they both having already fouled out in this contest.
2 big free throws by Gibson. She's 4 for 4 in this quarter.
And 4 is the lead for Wofford with 44 left to play. Boy, weaving through traffic is Trainer. And the foul, is it going to be on Gibson? Actually, it's going to be Robinson. And that's going to be a 5th personal on Robinson, so she departs. Robinson, who ends her time out there with the 8 points and 5 rebounds. And Wofford with Trainer at the line, where she is 2 for 4 and misses again here. So she's shooting less than 50% from the charity stripe in this contest, and at a time when they need Trainer the most, trying to pad a 4-point lead, she'll have just 1 more shot here.
She was perfect from the free throw line coming into play this evening.
That's more like it as she knocks down the most recent free throw, lead 5. And Miller will kick it back out.
Oh, blocked by Washington.
Blocked by Washington. Now key to have her still in there. And a good recovery by Coastal Carolina, and Ced Gibson will make it a 3-point game. It's one possession, and the pressure is on for the Chanticleers. 22 on the clock. The shot clock is off now. This is just a game clock for Wofford, and a foul going to be called on Archer. And now it comes down to free throws, Bob, in a major way, with the game now a one-possession contest. And there you see Jimmy Garrity up off that bench. The Wofford head coach trying to get his team across the finish line in what would be their 5th win of the year.
Terriers hitting over 76% from the line in this game.
Trainer misses once more.
Wow.
And she has not had her typical night from the free throw line.
3 of 7.
Can still make this 2 possessions with this free throw, and does. That's the one that really counted, because it takes a 3-point lead, makes it 4 with 17.2 on the game clock. All right, Bob, your Coastal Carolina set this up for us with 4-point the separation and 17 seconds on the clock.
Well, they don't need a 3. They can get a quick 2 and then try to get a turnover or foul very quickly. So they don't have to go for the 3 at this point. So go for the 2 and then get a quick foul and just keep doing that until this game is over, or somebody wins, or we go into overtime.
Coastal Carolina looking to improve to 4-3 on the year in their own right. Came in 3-3, and so we mentioned a couple of different times. Unbeaten all time against Wofford. When these two teams last met, it was nothing like what we're having happen right here. 83-69 in Conway last season. But it's been a thriller here in Spartanburg, and not the first thriller. Wofford winning one down the stretch with a shot of their own. You go back to the game against South Carolina State, 66-65. A 3-point basket right now for the Chanticleers, and that would be the identical score we'd have here, Bob. Wofford with that same 66-point total on the board, and another close one right now.
Right, and the Gardner-Webb game was fairly close, and it was a game similar to it that Wofford was able to grind out. So this is another, we're talking about don't have to shoot a 3s. Coastal Carolina only 1 for 7 from the 3-point area tonight, so they have not been able to shoot very well from the 3-point area. So they're more than likely going to try to get a quick 2-pointer and
hope for one missed free throw and a chance to try and tie the game the next time down the floor. That's the design as Bob has laid it out. We'll see what Wofford allows, what presents itself for Coastal Carolina. Time precious. And down to around 10 seconds now. This is a 2-possession game, and a long time for this to develop for Coastal Carolina. Washington with the rebound, and that may ice it. Wow, 4.8, and again, I'll say it, Bob, a long time for that play to develop.
Should have had some little more quick hitting that time, but used up a lot of time there. And the missed shot on the 3-pointer. Washington with the rebound and a chance to wrap this one up.
Wofford on the verge of being perfect at home this season. They defeated Erskine 116-74. That aforementioned South Carolina State game, a 66-65 thriller. Against Gardner-Webb, 75-66. And if they can close this one down, they'll be unblemished in 2016 here at home in this portion of the 2016-2017 season, as they won't return here until January 5th. In conference play, and Washington's first shot off the front of the rim. And it's kind of been the story for Wofford down the stretch here from the free throw line. They may survive nonetheless, though, as they're still up 4 with 4.8 to play. Washington makes it 5. That second free throw has been kind to the Terriers on these 2 shot opportunities of late. And that's one of the places that Wofford can be thankful for the change in the rules package over the last couple of years here in women's basketball. Some of these would have been 1-and-1s. You look right now at the number of fouls up on the board. Instead, they've had 2 shot opportunities each and every time, and the second one has gone down, Bob.
Exactly right, and that is a big factor, something that I wonder if the men's rules committee might want to consider.
But there is no longer a 1-and-1 bonus situation in women's basketball. Terriers thankful for it, and they made that second shot from the free throw line count and have turned it into a 67-62 lead. 4 seconds all that remains. Coastal needing 2 possessions here. Gonna be hard to come by. Long 3, just off the mark. The horn sounds, and the Wofford Terriers will stay unbeaten inside Benjamin Johnson Arena during the farewell tour for the Benjo. And they have now ran it to 6 in a row here at home, dating back to last year. It was not with ease for head coach Jimmy Garrity and company, but it goes in the win column nonetheless on the strength of an outstanding start for Wofford, Bob.
Exactly, a 6-win home winning streak, the best ever in Wofford's Division I basketball history. Chanticleers out-rebounded the Terriers by 2. They did not, they only hit 39% of their shots. Wofford was 43%. One difference may have been the 3-pointers. 6 out of 14 for Wofford, only 1 of 9 for Coastal Carolina, as turnovers just about even. Wofford with 21 and Coastal Carolina with 20. The largest lead was 11 points. Some of the second chance points was 15-6 in favor of the Chanticleers. Points off turnovers ended up being even after Wofford had the advantage for most of the night. Fast break points were 24-8, so a couple of big factors there. Some of the leading scorers looked like Coastal Carolina had 4 players in double figures. Miller with 10, Archer with 13, Gibson with 14, and Robinson with 11. And for the Terriers, they had a couple players in double figures, with Corella getting 14 and 11 points for Washington to lead the way in those categories for the Terriers.
Well, think about Washington. You mentioned the 11 points, the double-digit point total. Also pulled down that big rebound to seal it. So on the strength of a great start and a really very, very intentional effort by this team to never allow Coastal Carolina to take the lead away, they come away with another win, Bob. Your final thoughts?
It was another kind of grinded out win, but something that the Terriers have been able to do a couple times this year now, and certainly a relief for Coach Jimmy Garrity to come away with the win and continue holding court on their home floor here in 2016, and won't see them again until the new year of 2017. And I want to take a moment to say, since we won't be talking to you until after the new year and the Christmas holidays, I want to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas and a very happy and prosperous new year.
And we certainly wish the Terrier football team the best this weekend as they travel to Youngstown State. And if you're wondering about your next chance to see basketball, right here in Benjamin Johnson Arena, tomorrow night the men's team will be in action, and you can follow everything at the Wofford website. It's a final. Wofford Terriers 67, Coastal Carolina Chanticleers 62. For Bob McFarland and our entire crew, Jason Patterson saying thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. Wofford stays flawless here in the Benjo on the women's side thus far on the year.